When Gwen and I got married in the June of 1991, our first honeymoon trip was to the ghost town of Bodie. We lived nearby at the time, but quickly moved to Colorado so that we could afford to raise kids in a nice house with a nice job. 10 years later, we took the kids back there on our anniversary. Yes, that dork is me in 2001. I didn't take many photos then because compact flash space was scarce. Just one image took up 700 megabytes. We have made a handful of trips back to California since, and each time the passes were still closed. Will we make it to Bodie this time? Stay tuned. So in 1857, gold was discovered right here at Dogtown. Now the actual Dogtown, this is the marker, actual Dogtown is up over here through that creek and up the hills. But the gold itself was most likely discovered right here because we have all this gravel dredged up from the creek, and probably by human hands. We're not going to try and cross this creek today, but for the moment it's a quiet place. And that gravel pile is a memory of Dogtown. So after the gold discovery here at Dogtown, a camp was formed also at Monoville, or it was a camp that turned into a little camp called Monoville. Maybe that's down by Mono Lake. I don't know. It's not really on my maps. But that camp at Monoville is what drew a certain New Yorker, William Bodie, spelled E-Y, drew him out of New York to come here to seek his fortune. Well, this ends our quest for getting to Bodie. The Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo that we have doesn't have climbing gears, and we don't want to get stuck in that. Could we make it over this part? Actually, we probably could, but we'd scratch up the side of the car. If you see that manzanita right there. And we don't want to scratch up the car. There's also a rock in the way. You can see that rock right there. Don't want a high center on that either. Could be a rock, might not be a rock. Sadly, we're not going to risk it. But I can give you that view. And because of this road, the way it is, I am finally at a place that is quiet and has no other people making noise. There are no trucks passing us. There are no jets flying overhead. No, I didn't make it to Bodie. But you know what? I'll take this. Because this is definitely a quiet place with my kind of view. Gonna need a bigger Jeep. You know, if we were retired, didn't have places to be, didn't have timelines and schedules.
You'd walk?
No.
Oh.
No, but I might get the drone out anyway right here, just to capture something. I'd set a tent up right here and camp. Because,
beautiful.
Oh my gosh, that. So to recap for a second, California had a complete deluge after years of begging and pleading for water, being in a drought. They got flooded. California got totally flooded. Too much snow, too much water all at once, and they're still getting water daily every afternoon. So we tried to get up to Bodie. From Twain Harte, Sonora Pass is closed. From Yosemite, Tioga Pass is closed. Ebbets Pass, Highway 4, closed. We finally went all the way up to 88, went over 88, got down here to Bridgeport. Now, if you call the number for Bodie Historic Park, they will tell you, travel at your own risk, roads are pretty flooded. They don't tell you how bad they are, really. I mean, they say that's up to Caltrans. They're not going to take, they don't have to take responsibility for that. Caltrans would tell you, oh yeah, it's horrible, don't try it. Well, we tried it. I'm glad we did. This is as far as we got to Bodie. There was something I wanted to share with you about Bodie, though. And we'll be back to Bodie. We've been to Bodie. In fact, I'm going to put some pictures of Bodie right here, just so you're not completely Bodie-less. Right here. Here's pictures. And then there's the bad men of Bodie. By 1880, a reporter had reported that there could be a man for breakfast, meaning gunplay could kill somebody even before breakfast. Within a fortnight, said one reporter, town men had been seriously beat over the head with 6 shooters, one had been shot, one stabbed to death, one man and one woman had been knifed, one woman's skull was crushed with a club, and she may die that night. And for these 7 crimes, 5 lives were jeopardized and 2 were taken. Only 2 arrests had been made. There was one fight between a miner, and why this isn't in a movie, I don't know. Are you listening, Spielberg, or any of my armchair Spielbergs out there? This needs to be a movie. There was one fight in particular where a fine young miner who'd gotten a little bit wild and a sure-thing gambler, and this was written by Grant Smith, an attorney, in 1879. They had quarreled, and then they partly made up when the gambler invited the miner for a drink. So as they stood side by side at the bar, the gambler drew a gun and shot the miner in the back. Well, he lived through that because the miner drew his gun, and they stood holding each other by their coats, shooting until they both fell to the ground. The miner died instantly. Well, it was a back wound. The gambler lived for some years, being a physical wreck. That's just one story of the many stories of Bodie, and we're going to save the rest for the next time I can get here. That might be in July. I don't know. I've tried 3 attempts in California, 3 different trips to California to get back to Bodie, and we haven't been able to do it. Gwen and I had our honeymoon. The very first few hours of our married life was spent in Bodie. And we've taken our kids there a couple times since. So we'd like to get back to it, but not this trip. In the meantime, I'm going to pull out the drone, and I want you to see the mountainous countryside that the men of Bodie got to live in, even though we can't get actual footage of Bodie on this trip. I hope I didn't disappoint you. Oh, side note, a special thanks to Rose at the Main Street Deli in Bridgeport for letting me borrow her husband's hat, just in case we were able to get to Bodie and do some filming. So here I am filming with Rose's husband's hat. Thank you very much, Rose. She actually closed the deli, ran upstairs, got her husband's hat, and lent it to me, a complete stranger. These are the kinds of people you can find out west in the rural areas. Thanks for watching.